When a person spends years aggressively destroying their own life, the aftermath looks exactly like a natural disaster. There is nothing left but smoldering ash where a solid foundation used to be. We often call this archetype the wrecking ball. It is a persona driven by a compulsion to burn every single bridge they walk across, reducing relationships to cinders until there is absolutely nothing left of the person they once were. In the beginning, this destruction feels like strength. They laugh at ideas of grace, viewing mercy as a defect meant only for the weak, as they demolish their own life. The tragedy lies in the recklessness of the process. Two people can start out perfectly good, but the moment they connect, they act like children playing with a box of matches. They strike the flame and sit back to watch their entire world go up in flames beside them. This maps the geographic reality of that behavior. Every destroyed relationship burns an exit route, leaving the arsonist centered in an expanding void. By defending themselves from connection, they become completely trapped, building a coffin from the timber of burned bridges. Unchecked pride doesn't make a person invulnerable. It isolates them, sealing them in a solitary confinement they cannot possibly escape on their own. Eventually, the adrenaline of active destruction burns off. The fire stops raging and starts smoking, leaving behind a profound, paralyzing exhaustion. Yet the cycle continues. They keep returning to the same charred remains with a fresh box of matches, unable to stop themselves from trying to ignite the ashes one more time. They try everything to find a place to land. They seek belonging in the ruins, but every desperate attempt fails, grinding them down further. There is a highly specific physical toll that comes from relentlessly knocking on gates where they simply do not belong. It drains every ounce of energy left in the body. Layered on top of that physical toll is the immense mental weight of pretending. The strain of hiding the ruin and convincing the world they aren't too far gone becomes suffocating. Then comes the night. The wall of pride sustains a final, critical fracture. The structural integrity of the wrecking ball finally fails, and the whole facade starts to fall. Hitting absolute rock bottom isn't a tragic end. That total collapse is the exact requirement for an outside intervention to finally break through the debris. When every match has been struck and the box is empty, the silence becomes absolute. In this state of total ruin, a person stops expecting rescue and begins to accept the ashes as their permanent home. A quiet voice cuts directly through the thick smoke of that ruin. It is an invitation, calling out to the weary and the broken to finally come out of the rain. The very hands that held the matches and caused the destruction now reach instinctively upward. They grasp for a light they can't explain and a salvation they haven't earned. Grace operates as a disruptive force. It doesn't wait for the fire to go out or for the bridge builder to repent. It meets them squarely inside the ruins of their own making. Accepting that invitation requires a definitive choice. The fighting stops. The pretending ends. The figure turns away from the wreckage and begins to walk out of the smoke. The quest for forgiveness shifts. There is no longer an attempt to rebuild the worldly bridges that were burned, because the transaction has become entirely divine. This walk requires shedding weight. It is the deliberate act of taking off heavy, self-imposed chains that no longer serve a purpose. The journey leads to a singular destination. They are coming home, taking every remaining burden and laying them down at the foot of the throne. This invitation remains open continuously. It stands waiting, valid even for those who have spent their entire lives acting as a wrecking ball. No matter how thoroughly a person has destroyed their own life, the capacity to surrender those chains and find rest remains. The fire may still be smoking, but the call home cannot be extinguished.